when I was in a place where I was playing hockey and it was something that I wanted to do and I love pro hockey, but like I knew that there was more for me. I knew that there was work that needed to be done to get to that place to do it. And so like I started to dedicate myself to being the best version of yourself, but just like, what do I want? Like, what do I want to do? Like, what do I really enjoy? How do I want to wake up and feel? How do I want to look at myself? How do I want to treat others and like connect with others? And so those acknowledging those, being self-aware of like what I wanted allowed me to like almost create a roadmap of like, this is how I'm going to get there. And this is what I got to do every day to be that person.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay. Each week with our guest episodes, I try to put the spotlight on someone who, in my eyes, is living their most authentic life. Today's guest is from Scottsdale, Arizona. He spent over 6 years playing professional hockey within the US, Canada, Russia, and Europe. Since then, he's gone on to be a co-founder of Reset, an exclusive single-day recovery event that provides guests with the ultimate health experience. I definitely got to go to one of these. He's also the founder of Triple Dig Media, a front-facing hockey media platform. And lastly, the co-founder of Honey House, a media property, adult creator house, and production team with a focus on health, wellness, and positivity. Today on the podcast, JT Barnett, baby. What's going on?
Let's go.
JT.
You do your homework, bro. I know the caliber of podcaster that you are. But you do your homework, and I'm super excited for this conversation. I've had about 10 people that are like, yo, this is going to be a good pod.
Let's
do this.
Let's go. Dude, my thing from the jump, I mean, I also have to say that I've been doing this for like 5 years, so I hope that I'm getting a little bit better, one episode at a time. But my whole thing from the jump is like, I want to make this an incredible experience for the guests and also the listener. And as a listener of podcasts, when I hear questions that are like, hey, JT, nice to meet you, where are you from? I'm just like, yo, you can go find that out. Like start with the leading question and like set this man up. So to me, it's about making an incredible experience. And I don't want to waste your time asking you the same questions over and over. So to me, it just makes the whole experience even better. So I'm happy to hear that people have been hyping it up because I'm trying, man. I'm trying to be, the best in the business. So that gets me fired up.
Absolutely, bro. I mean, like 100%, the experience is the bottom line. And like, I completely agree with you. And like the general information, you can hear that on so many different podcasts. Like what differentiates you is going deeper. And so, yeah, bro, I'm excited to chop it up.
Dude, when I see you from afar, man, you are dialed in. Like the amount of hats that you wear, I see like the amount of fitness that you put in a day. You got the sauna, you got the tub with ice, you have the positivity, the optimism, man. You are dialed in, and I love that about you, man. Where does that actually come from?
I appreciate you taking notice of that because that is my foundation. Like, I will say that it came from both my parents were athletes. So my dad was a hockey player. My mom ran marathons. And like that was me growing up. I was an athlete. So I played hockey my whole life. I started skating when I was 2. So like as an athlete, you got to learn to take care of yourself. And I think just like really, I'll give a lot of that credit to my mom because I watched my mom my mom has had 7 kids and my mom has always been a personal trainer, a spinning teacher, a bar teacher. And so just like watching her take care of herself, it was super ingrained in me. And when I started becoming a professional hockey player, just like really learning and seeing how other hockey players took care of themselves made me want to be better at it. And I think that I at some point, I don't know exactly where, it turned from being like a job for me to being something that I was passionate about. I honestly, like now just even thinking about it with you, I think it was probably around the time where like Soul Cycle and like individual places like that were popping up and it kind of started to become trendy to be into wellness. I was like, oh, this is something that I've done my whole life. That was like my foundation that I did for performance. Now it's becoming cool. This is what I really enjoy. Like I'm going to start doing this more and more. And so to answer the question, it's always been my foundation. It's always been something that I've done. Now I just think that people are taking notice of it more. And now it's become like cool.
Yeah. Well, I think even from a personal standpoint, I've seen the positivity of how it's impacted me from taking care of like, what do I consume on a daily basis? What am I consuming on social media? How often am I working out? All of those things, like people might see me online. I'm like always moving and grooving, always staying busy, always hustling, always grinding. The only way I can do that is by giving myself the right fuel to operate at that highest level. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's like you're being raised with hockey and your mom's into fitness. Your father was already a previous like professional hockey player. It's going to literally just like, you're like the combination of both of them. So you're going to be like this guy who's just literally dialed into a T. And I think that's just what we're seeing on social media. And what's beautiful about it is like, now that's like the cool thing to do is like to be your highest level, to push that type of energy to the world. And I really believe too, it kind of full circles and it ends up being the people that you surround yourself with the most as well.
100%. And I think like the people that you surround yourself with is something that I would love to dive into more, but like just the idea of like trying to pursue what that potential is for yourself. Like I wake up and I'm like, I want to be the best that I can be.
Yeah.
Like it's something that, and that sounds so cliche. But I think like there's been mentors and people that I've seen that have operated at such high levels that I've watched, and social media is so easy for that now that you can watch people from a distance. So like seeing people go after things that they wanted to do and achieve them, people that I knew too, like people that I was close with that like really put in the work and then like just were living the life that they wanted to. Mm-hmm. When I was in a place where I was playing hockey and it was something that I wanted to do and I loved pro hockey, but like I knew that there was more for me. I knew that there was work that needed to be done to get to that place to do it. And so like I started to dedicate myself to being the best version of yourself, but just like, what do I want? Like, what do I want to do? Like, what do I really enjoy? How do I want to wake up and feel? How do I want to look at myself? How do I want to treat others and like connect with others? And so those acknowledging those, being self-aware of like what I wanted allowed me to like almost create a roadmap of like, this is how I'm going to get there. And this is what I got to do every day to be that person.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest difference between the mindset of the people you're surrounded by with today versus when you were at the highest level in hockey? What's the biggest, like, is there a big shift? Because I just imagine anybody that wants to do something at a high level is disciplined, is hardworking, knows what they want to do. And I would, from what I've seen from afar, you are around people that operate within their own capacity at a high level today. But also when you were in the hockey space, I would imagine everyone around you is also at a very high level.
You know, I'm going to actually go an opposite way of that and say that I actually think that because you have the title of professional athlete, you get away with a lot more. And I actually think that there was a lot of people that I played with that didn't work nearly as hard as a lot of people that I'm around right now that are working day-to-day jobs and aren't even entrepreneurs or aren't even like super successful. I think I don't think it's black or white. I think that there's people that worked really, really, really hard that I was around that I pulled a lot from when I was playing hockey. And I also think there was guys on my team that like left the rink and drank beers and just like hung out and played Xbox and didn't care about their well-being at all. And were just able to perform on the ice just because that was the skill set that they were gifted with. And so I think like the people that were at like the real elite people from the sport always were super optimistic, were very cared about other people, were really dedicated to the craft, like really put in the hard work, were committed over time and just really stayed consistent. Like there was guys that I played with that like would have a good month and would like then just drop off. But like the real guys that I saw that I would consider elite were guys that did the mundane on a savagely well level. So like just really, really, really did the mundane things well. And I think that that's the people that I see now that I would really consider like executing. And you know, a lot of them, like people that have sold companies, people that are like big entrepreneurs, like they do the mundane things really well. Simple things done savagely well. Like they just, if you're able to execute on the simple things, it's like, it really is such a game changer. And for me, that's what I try to do with all of the foundational things that I do is like, it's simple shit. Like going on a walk is simple. eating right is simple. Like moving your body every day is simple. But if you just do that done savagely well and you do it consistently, you'll get results.
Hey, don't forget the water with lemon in there. Come on, that's important too.
Yeah.
Don't forget
Totally.
that. You need that H2O. But I mean, you're totally right. Would you say simple things done savagely well? I love that.
Simple things done savagely well. Dude. And I can't take that. That's not from me. That's actually from Exos, which is like a training facility that I went to for a long time. Mark Verstegen, the founder of that, another dude that I look up to a lot. Simple things done savagely well. Like the 4 corners for us for reset were similar to that of Exos, which is movement, recovery, mindset, and nutrition. Those 4 things are like the cornerstones. For me, I think that there's community is also in there. There's a couple other things that I would add, but like when I was training, that was the 4 pillars that they really look at and like take care of. And those are the 4 things that do those things simply and do them really well and stay consistent with it, and you'll get results.
Yeah. I mean, in any area of your life, I think like you're talking about, it's the ability to stay consistent, right? So that's like my mindset every day. When I put my 2 feet on the floor of my bed, like a crazy person, I literally say to myself, focus on the 24 hours ahead of you. And that's all I do every single day. Because when you're able to do that and you just focus on the things that you can control today, you're not worried about how do I lose 10 pounds in the next 6 months? How do I build the podcast that I've always wanted to build? How do I do X, Y, and Z? You're not worried about where you want to be. You're worried about what can you control in this very moment. And just like anything else, that just consistently stacks up over a long period of time. Time passes and all of a sudden you have the body you've been looking for. You're eating great. Your mindset's different. You're around the right community. And then it just kind of domino effects and it makes it easier. But like you're saying, yep. I mean, I think we know of definitely a bunch of mutual founders and friends within that. All the key for all these guys and gals has just been small little steps over a long period of time. Like that's only thing differentiating them from the person that hasn't gotten to that level yet is that they are just obsessively consistent about doing that same thing every single day. And then eventually you get to, these big successes and peaks that everyone sees outside looking in, but they don't realize what they just did for the last 10 years.
Totally. And that for me, that just like makes me think of like the process of like, okay, that same way of like me looking at like, what do I want out of my life? Like, cool. I want to have a successful business. I want to have a healthy relationship. I want kids. I want to leave a legacy, like whatever it is for you. Like that next question of like, how the fuck do I get there? That's the process. And that's what I think all of these people that like really succeed over time, they nail down that process and they stick with it. And like, yeah, you have ups and yeah, you have downs, and you'll have a day where it's like, this is an amazing day. And that's where like people, the accolades where like people acknowledge you. But like for all of the people that you and I know that have been super successful, like everybody sees the thing that they post on Instagram when they've sold. But people don't see the 8 years or the 10 years or the 6 years or the 4 years where it's just daily. It's just mundane shit.
Yeah.
It's mundane.
Yeah.
It's the same routine. It's the stuff that they put in when everybody's left the office, and it's like they could leave, but they don't because it's like they know it just gets them a little bit farther. And all of this sounds super cliche, but I promise it legit. It's simple shit. It really is.
That's why it sounds so cliche. The cliches are the truth, but nobody wants to hear it. / we all hear it so many times, but we don't follow through with it, that it becomes these cliches when it's like, this is the answer. This is all you have to do is just be disciplined enough to follow the damn regimen over a period of time, and you're going to get the result at some point.
And that's instant gratification. Like that's like the culture that we live in right now of just like, you can get shit so quick. Uber, it's here in 2 seconds. Food, Postmates, it's here in a minute. Like, and that instant gratification of like, you can get things so fast, which is amazing, has now shifted all of us to be like, cool, I want a successful business. I want it to be done in a year. I want to sell in a year and a half. I want, and that is where it's like shifting that mindset to be like, it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes a while and it's a process. And like, if you can stick with it and you can grind it out through the mundane, that's where you really see success.
I think the best shift, and I don't know when it came in my life, when I realized that I can't control necessarily when these big successes come, when I'll finally have the studio, when I'll have the full production team to build out this amazing like podcast brand. I don't know when that's going to happen, but the one thing I damn well can control is by actually doing the work every single day. And when I stopped getting so unattached to the results, worrying about the number of plays and just worried about the process of having a really good conversation, executing at a high level, posting it, moving on to the next one. It's like a factory line. I just go, I can't control a lot of things in this world, but I damn well can control the amount of work I put into this podcast. And I know that at the right time, it's going to happen. The rocket ship is going to take off. The right person's going to hear it. The studio will come. But until then, when I manifest all these dreams and all these visions that I have in my life, until then, I'm just going to enjoy the ride until I get there. The last thing I want to do is look back and go, I just spent 10 years miserable, get to this place of where I've always wanted to be. And now I'm like looking back like, wow, I was miserable for 10 years. I finally got it. And now what do I do? How do I celebrate all this success, you know?
I love that, bro. Cause like that, it sounds like you're able to be super present with everything that you do. And that's not easy for a lot of people. Like it's easy to get caught up in the, like, I want to be here by this time. I want to be here. And then I want to get there by this age. I want to make this amount by this age. And if you are able to stay in the present, like you are, like it works itself out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really, like you get to where you're supposed to go. I kind of like to look at things as macro and micro. Like I kind of like to look at things as like big picture and then day to day. So like I always love knowing where I'm at big picture and like looking at like, cool, this is where I'm headed. And now I can focus on the day to day. Or I look at it like overall, I'm happy as fuck. But on the day to day, I might have some days where I'm really like not enjoying things, right? It's like a day where shit's really challenging. And I kind of like to have that perspective of like, cool, but like on a macro level, like how do I feel?
Yeah.
Like on a macro level, like how is this going? On a macro level, like am I trending in the right direction? Because today, you know, we actually had a day where we were in the red, or we had a day where like shit, we didn't sell any products today, and like today was a tough day. But like on the grand scheme of things, like how are we doing? We're moving in the right direction, and that kind of keeps me focused to keep me moving.
You know what's been a game changer for forcing myself to have that mindset more often than not? I have my days. I have my days where I'm not feeling so high, or like, you know, there's a magnitude of things that could happen in my life that don't allow me to feel as I like when I have the days where I have a podcast, I'm going to go to sleep tonight, JT, with the biggest smile on my face, like so fired up because this is like the biggest win of my day right now in this very moment. And then there's going to be days where I don't record a podcast and like nothing great happens, or, you know, it doesn't feel like the needle is moving. And I'm like, okay, that was like an okay day, whatever. But the key for me is going into the day with doing a gratitude journal. And it sounds, once again, cliche. We see it on social media. People are like, oh, you got to write down the things you're grateful for. But actually shifting your mindset to look at all the good that's happening in front of you that day. What are your priorities in your life? What was a great experience that happened the day before? What are you excited about, you know, in your day ahead of you or this coming week? Completely changed my perspective. That it then allowed me to start being more present and actually seeing all the good that's happening, even on the days that don't feel like there's a big, like the needle really is being swung to the right direction. I'll have more grateful for that phone call I had with a family member, or I'll be more pumped when I get to communicate with somebody I haven't talked to in a long time. It just completely shifts the mindset and the perspective. And yeah, I mean, even the presence thing, meditation, man, that zened me out for the last couple of years. And it's been an absolute game changer, just the way I see my life and the world. And especially when I get to meet people like you for the first time, it's like, I want to give you my full undivided attention. Screw the email, screw the text messages, the DMs, all that can wait till later. The only thing I want to focus on right now is this conversation with you.
Yeah, bro. Obviously, you know, I'm a massive fan of meditation. Like meditation for me has, you know, it's when I first started hearing about meditation, it was, I honestly thought of it as like, it's going to transport me to some other fucking world. and I was like, dude, I don't even need that shit. Like, I like where I'm at. And now for me, it's actually more about being exactly where I'm at and being even more close to myself and my body, and being like, I'm right fucking here. Like I can handle anything that happens to me. I can overcome any feelings, anything that goes on in my life. Like it really, the practice of meditation for me has been not going out and understanding anything outside of me. It's actually been how the fuck can I get closer to me
Mm.
and be better at being myself and do the things that I want to do more. And so it really has just like allowed me to just like sit with anything that I feel like I want to let go of, or sit like anything that I'm like, yo, this isn't for me anymore. Like it's time for me to move on. Like things that like before in the past I might have just like skipped past, or I might have just like not thought about or not like taken action on. Now I'm like, you know what? No, like this is something I want to do. I'm going to do this. Like this is something that I feel like in my heart I believe in. I'm going after this. And so yeah, meditation for me has just like really allowed me to get closer to myself, which has been amazing.
What I'm hearing there is you leaning into the feelings. You're not running away from them, whether it's the good feelings or the bad. You're leaning right into it.
If there is one thing that I could give to anybody from this podcast, it would be to start sitting with your feelings more and feeling them. And like, I literally, it's my reservoir. It's my saving grace. It's the way it is my fucking strength. It's my superpower is my feelings. And I come from a background of a hockey player where I'm supposed to fight. I'm supposed to push it down. I'm supposed to not feel pain. I'm supposed to like all of that shit. And like sitting with my feelings is something that I was born with. Like I was literally born. I was literally born. I have 4 sisters. I was super emotional. I was really close with my mom. I was raised by nannies that were all women. Like I was always emotional as fuck as a kid. And then I started playing hockey. And I think that for me, that part of me, the emotional part of me kind of was put on the back burner. It was almost like we can't do this because we're playing and you're not supposed to feel this stuff and and you need to get out there and play. So let's not feel this as much. And like when I retired in 2017, like coming back to feeling my emotions, therapy was amazing. Like I'm a big proponent of therapists, and not even just necessarily talk therapy, but like talking to friends, talking to other people, like working through shit physically, like all of that stuff for me was all pointing directly at you got to go back to what your roots are of feeling your feelings. And that has shifted so much for me, has like allowed me to, again, like I was saying, like the meditation stuff of getting closer to myself, like really what that is for me is sitting with my feelings. Like when I sit in meditation, the first thing I do is go, how are we feeling today? What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Like, do I feel like this more? Do I feel like anything like in my stomach? Do I feel like happy? Do I feel sad this morning? Do I feel like whatever feeling it is? It's crazy to me how how far people have got from feeling their feelings and trying to think their way through things.
Yeah.
And that for me, going to therapy was immediately like, hey, you're going through a big change in your life. The first thing we need to get back to is feeling your fucking feelings.
Yeah.
And that unlocked so much for me. And now I take it into everything. Like I'm emotional. A lot of people say don't be emotional in business. I'm emotional as fucking business. I'm able to know when I need to pause and not be as drawn into my emotions, but my emotions fuel everything for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm honestly like, I could not be more proud of something than saying I'm super emotional. I love it. Like I absolutely love it.
We got something in common, my friend. I'll tell you that right now. I'm an emotional human being. When I was being raised, man, that's a whole nother day for another conversation. But like, dude, I am very much an emotional person. And, so when I hear that from you, I'm like, I can feel it, bro. I'm on that same wave as you. But there's one thing I don't want to glaze over it. But one thing that I think is so interesting about your story, and I think people can relate to this. A lot of people that hear this podcast, maybe in this moment in time where they're at in their life, you're on this path as a professional hockey player, and and I know you've talked about in previous podcasts about like transitioning, going to therapy for that, trying to I think there was at one point you were going like 4 times a week, then it got to 3 times, and you really like worked your way out of it. But talk to me about like that identity shift, right? There's probably a magnitude of people that are going to listen to this podcast. They're not necessarily going from a professional athlete to, then an influencer, right? But I think there's a similarity of like, maybe you're going down one path of a career, you absolutely hate what you're doing, and you're ready to make a complete shift. What's the advice that you would give your version of yourself when you were about to go through that process? Because obviously that's in 2017. We're in 2021 now. You've had a lot of time to sit and work through some of that deep work. What's that advice you'd give to yourself?
What I would say to myself is, you know what the fuck you're doing. And the reason why I would say that is I I actually think that now looking back at my career, my holistic career, like from starting playing hockey, leaving my home at 15 to retiring when I was 26 or 25, I actually think that throughout that time, after my first 2 or 3 years of playing away from home, I actually feel like I became more of a content creator and was more interested in that aspect of my life than I was of hockey. But because I had grown up with hockey and it was in my roots and it was in my core and it was what I had spent so much time doing, I was like, I still love hockey. I don't want to give it up yet. But like, if you ask anybody on any one of my teams that I played on, like I was producing hip hop and rap and dance EDM music when I was 18 in between all of my practices and games. I was DJing, I was creating vlogs, creating videos, I was taking photos for guys, like just like taking random photos, walking around with a camera. Like I was the dude on every one of my teams that people just didn't understand because they were like, is this guy like an artist, or like is he like in my bio on Instagram when I was 19 to 27, I had athlete X artist, and I wasn't even like putting out a ton of tracks. I was just like, I knew that it was where my passion was, but it was just like my childhood was hockey, so I wasn't at the point where I wanted to give it up, and I loved it still. And there still was like the opportunity for me to make the NHL. So I was like, I'm going to keep going at this. But like when I look back at like the fun times that I had, and I've had plenty of time now to sit back and think and be like, what did I really love about hockey? Like, what did I really enjoy in those times? Like, I loved the guys. I'm a huge people person. I love being around the boys. I love like getting along with people. I love like training. I loved the camaraderie of the locker room. I loved the guys. I really didn't enjoy the games that much. Like thinking back, I'm like, I wasn't even that fired up in games. Like I liked it, but like I'm not a fighter. I had to fight because it was like part of my role, but like I'm not a fighter. Like the physical aspect of hockey, like could be fine without it. Like I just wanted to go out and have fun and like make plays and stuff like that. The lifestyle of being a pro athlete for me in the minor leagues, like, is something that is so over glamorized. Like people think that because I have the title of pro athlete, that I was flying on private jets and was living like a lavish life, have money saved up. Bro, I was living in a Russian military base, eating 3 meals a day in a cafeteria, meats that I didn't even know what I was eating, military guards outside of our house, having curfew. Like I was not living glamorous. And like, I like, so for me, the transition of it was actually, the transition of getting out of hockey was actually like me allowing myself going to therapy, was like me allowing myself to not feel bad that I don't care that much about being a hockey player, but I'm actually more passionate about content and media and marketing and like all of the shit that I really am doing now. And like, really, that's still what I work on in therapy, is being like, yo, like what you're doing now is what you really wanted, and is like what is actually closer to you.
Yeah.
And like, you got to let go of like the feelings that you feel bad about not wanting to be a hockey player, feel bad about not caring about that as much.
Wow, man, that's unbelievable. First off, I had the same feeling growing up, right? Played basketball, played sports until then junior of high school, when it really started to go from like JV to varsity. I was like, I'm not made for this. I've only been doing this because it's the community of being with the boys. And so then I just became like the team manager for the sports. And then I went and I would be working and hustling, making money. So I know that feeling.
That's awesome.
But that's like, it's crazy to hear that, like just thinking about how much work it goes into like getting to even that level and how much you had to put into it to get there. This is a tough question, but I'm just curious, like, had your father not had the previous professional background / agent, do you think you would have pursued hockey? Or was it kind of like, you're his son, you got to get on the rink at 2, like you got to follow a similar path to me?
Yeah. And so for anybody that doesn't know, my dad was Wayne Gretzky's agent, along with a handful of other people that played hockey.
He did play professional at one point, or am I wrong? Did he play professional?
My dad played pro. He didn't play in the NHL.
Cool,
he was too old. He was actually like even before NHL was what it was. There was 2 leagues. There was NHL and WHA. He played in the WHA. And then I think he probably played like a couple years. I don't think that he had like I think he played like 3 years. Didn't have a crazy long career. took a puck to the eye, was like, I'm done with this. I want to start working on the back end of it. So started doing agency stuff and ended up representing Wayne Gretzky along with some other superstars. And so when I was born directly into I was born in Los Angeles the year after Wayne Gretzky got traded from Canada. And like right when Los Angeles became like a hub for hockey. And so I was like literally put on skates when I was 12 months old, like literally like a year and a half. I'm like on the rink.
Oh,
So
man.
I don't even think that there's really no even answer for me to know if I was or was not. I definitely think that, just from my perspective right now, I would say yes. If he wasn't an agent, but he was still as passionate about it as he was, I would say I was really passionate about it. Like, I don't think my dad forced me to play. And like, I don't look back at my career and be like, my dad made me. Like, I loved the sport of hockey.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it when it turned into a business, because I was playing because I was passionate about it. And I was playing because I loved the guys and loved the experience of getting on the ice with them and like playing games. I didn't love the business behind it of your entire life can be uprooted tomorrow because we don't think that you play well with this guy on your line, or this guy plays well with you, so we need to shift things in our business. That for me was where I was like, look, this isn't for me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of scary to think about. Like, at least in the world you're in now, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, the sport of business is much different. You control a lot more controllables than somebody going, don't really see the value in JT. Like, let's just kind of move on and pick somebody else. Like, that is definitely, I would imagine, some shaky moments.
You know what's funny? Somebody asked me the other day if I would ever work for somebody, and I said immediately, fuck no, I wouldn't work for anybody. I could never see myself working for somebody. And then I sat and thought, and I was like, I literally worked for somebody for 10 years. I played professional hockey. I literally worked what I would consider my 9 to 5. And people might think like, dude, you play pro hockey. That's not, but like, I considered it a job.
Totally.
I took it very seriously. Like, it was a job. And at the end of the day, I was an employee on a spreadsheet of a business that when they're looking at the numbers, my number didn't fit. They trade me. My life is uprooted and I'm in another place. And so now it is absolutely one of the reasons why I am so passionate about being an entrepreneur. I want to be in control of my life.
Yeah.
I want to do what I want to do, and I want to bet on myself every fucking day.
Yeah.
And I do that and I enjoy it. And I don't see myself ever being able to go back to the scenario where I'm not able to bet on myself and control my day to day.
Yeah. I think when you go down the entrepreneur route, it really comes down to people need to be self-aware, because the problem is with social media, we see it gets glamorized, right? It's very glamorous of like living the entrepreneur life, working on your own schedule. You're in control. You call the shots. But I don't think most people truly understand what it takes to operate at that level. Like, it is on you. It is totally on you. If the money isn't coming in, if you guys get burned on a contract, I mean, literally, you are the firefighter. I love Gary Vee's like 2 cents on it, because, I think for a long time, it's like everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but maybe you're actually better as a number 2 than versus a number 1. And then it's also too, like, the amount you can learn, the amount I've learned in 2 years operating under a massive CEO. I was like, wow. For a long time, I thought that too. And I think the next, whenever that does come, the next chapter of my life will be like, when I jump ship and do my own thing, that's what'll happen next. But the amount of learnings that I saw of what it takes to build something at a high level, I was like, you know what? That is a priceless experience that I know I'm going to be able to run with, put that in my back pocket. And when it's time for me to build that team, I'll be ready to do it, because I've seen it internally as well.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? There's like, it's again, I don't think it's black or white. Like, I think you can do both. Like, I actually really think that a super underrated play is to be both, to be an employee or an independent contractor for somebody that you are working for, but then have your thing on the side where you are an entrepreneur and you get to scratch that itch and do your own thing. Like, I really actually think that is an amazing play for people. I think where somebody, for me, if I define like why I would say I'm an entrepreneur, is because the idea of me not being able to choose what I want to do at the end of the day and how I want to live my life and control my life is is like the worst idea, is like the worst scenario for me.
Yeah.
It like crushes my soul.
Yeah.
So if there was the right person that allowed me to operate exactly how I wanted to, and I was in control of making decisions and had free reign, like I would be open to considering that. But I need to scratch my own itch by having something that I 100% have complete control of, and that's why I do the things that I do.
Yeah. I'm curious, you do so much. How do you balance where to spend time, what to do next? Obviously, things like Honey House, that kind of is like a chapter. So it's like you're probably not working 40 hours a week on it right now. When you're in the house, you're there fully present. There's probably a lot going on. I see the amount of content you're creating from like on TikTok or just Instagram, like that in of itself is its own headspace. You got Reset, which obviously probably has been shelved just because of all the COVID stuff. So maybe that really hasn't been top of funnel. And then the Triple Deke Media, like how are you balancing like where to spend what time of energy? And I also respect, because to me, when I see all these different things that you're involved in, you're just continuously scratching your own itch. You can't, and there's a magnitude of ways. People can just go all in on one thing and that's it. But you're just like, nah. I'm just going to keep staying busy and I'm just going to keep juggling all these things that I just want to do, which I totally respect.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, there's some part of me that is just like really enjoys variety and really enjoys like the options. And so I like juggling a handful of different things and things that are not directly related either, because I'm into different shit. Like I love art. I also love hockey. I also love music. I also love TikTok. I like different things. So I want to be involved with different things. And the way that I'm able to keep my keep everything like organized is, one, my calendar helps a ton. So I look at that and I'm like, cool, I got 24 hours in a day. Every morning I spend until about 9:00. I'm doing my own stuff, like personal wellness, self-care, not doing any work stuff. So what am I doing the rest of the day that I can like fit in? And I just like look at that and I'm like, cool, I got like 4 hours a day that I can spend on something like this. I got like for this Honey House project, like if I were to allocate 2 hours a day to it, like how would I be able to fit that in? So I just kind of look and see what where my time is going. And then I think about it from like an energy perspective of like, what is this project going to take for me energy wise? Honey House was like something that I knew going into it was going to be something that is going to have a high peak, but is not going to be sustained where it's at that same level. Like I knew this is going to be something that's going to take 30 days. We're going to go in. It's going to probably be a month lead up to it. And then for 30 days, I'm going to go hard. And after those 30 days, it tapers off a lot. Same with Triple Deke. It's like, I know that I need to get this platform off the ground and get it going. And then if I can find people to help me with it, I actually don't think it's going to take that much energy throughout the day, every single day for me. So I'm able to just kind of like look at what it'll take me energy wise. And then if there's something that I feel like I don't have more time for, like I cut ties with it and I'm like, hey, that's not for me anymore. I need to move on from it. Some things I end up dropping the ball on, some things I end up like picking new things up. But like I try to balance a bunch of things because it keeps me fucking happy.
Yeah.
And it also allows me to like find success in a couple of those out of the 5 that I'm doing.
Yeah, I respect that, man. It's good if you can balance it and you can kind of, I like, like I said, not only is your story the identity shift of going from professional hockey player to creator / entrepreneur, but then to the amount of things that you wear hats on, I think it's just like literally just the definition of a hustler and somebody that just like wants to get after, wants to do all these things, which I just genuinely respect. The Honey House, what's been the biggest takeaway of doing that? I think the idea of creating like this reality game TV show like on TikTok is phenomenal, and you guys like absolutely crush it at a high level. Like, what's that been like?
Yeah, so like for anybody that doesn't know, Honey House is a TikTok house that I started with my buddy Nick Dio.
Great guy. Great guy.
The first adult TikTok house on the platform. We started it right when if you're familiar with TikTok, we started it right when all of the hype around every TikTok house was going on. Hype House, Sway House, Clubhouse, when they were all kind of branching off. We decided, let's go and quarantine together, put a bunch of adults in a house, film it all and put it on TikTok and see what happens. We ended up in the first month growing it from 0 to 500,000. And in the second month from 500,000 to 1.1 million. And now it's just kind of sitting. It's on pause. We haven't done anything with it yet for season 3. We're in talks. We're kind of deciding if it's something we want to do soon or just hold off and wait for a bit. But that project was amazing. It was amazing because for me, it encapsulated a lot of things that I really care about. Like, one, first and foremost, content.
Big content
Number
guy.
2,
Big content guy.
It's content is content is the underlying theme of everything that I do. So content was the first thing. People, and I actually want to like go a little bit more specific with it, like good people, because every person that was in any of the Honey House casts, every person that was involved with the production of it, with the sourcing of where we're going to find houses, every single person we worked with was an amazing human being.
It's awesome.
And that's something that I really pride myself in, like working with good people that care about each other and that want to do cool shit together. So that was another thing. And then just like the camaraderie of living together was like, it was very familial. Like it was very much like Nick and I both lived in both of the houses, and it was very familial. Like people really building genuine relationships with one another. I love all of the people that were in every one of the houses. I didn't know majority of them going into it. And like both houses, which were different casts, I left the house like in tears being like, fuck, I'm going to miss these people so much. I love them so much. So it really it was a lot of things that I care about, which is why the project worked. Nick and I both, a lot of things that we care about that made it what it was. And I think like the big takeaway from it, one, aside from I always want to just work with good people, I always want to work with people that I care for, was just like really the power of TikTok and like what you can do with it, like in a short period of time, and just like how it is as a platform, how it's evolving. And that's now what I do on a day-to-day is like now all I do is advise and create content for brands on TikTok. It's all I'm spending my time on. And so I'm just a massive fan of that platform and think that it's got a lot of legs and will for the next 5 or 10 years.
What's your mindset on like as new emerging platforms pop up, right? Like as a podcaster, I should be spending a lot more time pulling sound bites from these podcasts, putting on TikTok and trying to get it go viral. But I'm just like, I just want to focus on the craft of podcasting. I know I should be doing it, but how do you approach like these types of opportunities where, and I know Gary Vee would literally come beat the shit out of me if I'm saying this, but like, I don't want to be on TikTok, but he's gonna be like, you got to go where the attention is.
So like exactly what you were just saying. Like, I know I should be on TikTok. I know I should be creating content and putting it out, or cutting clips and putting it on there. Like what you should be doing is what you can repeatedly do every single day sustainably, and that you feel good with. So like, it's the same thing for me as somebody being like, I'm overweight. I want to lose a lot of weight. I know I need to eat keto. I know that I need to work out 7 days a week. I know that I need to drink 2 gallons of water or whatever all the things are that if you were to get it perfect that you could do, like, yeah, in a content sense, you should be posting on every platform if you absolutely can, because that's going to be the way that you're going to get the most reach. But like, if it's an absolute drag for you to do the podcast, chop it up, upload it to TikTok, have to redistribute it to every other platform, and at the end of you doing all of that, you're drained from it, that's not going to be sustainable, and that's not going to be something you're going to do consistently. So I actually think that if you're able to be consistent with just doing the audio and you feel good with that, and you every day can show up with that energy, then fucking do that. Because it more importantly than going super hard on 10 different things for a month is being able to go really, really hard on one thing for 12 months. So I think that like, I think like if you can stay consistent with it, the most that you can do while remaining consistent, keeping the same energy, keeping the same attitude towards, is what I would consider you should do.
Wow. That's a good mindset to have. And not one that I've ever really considered and thought about, because you're seeing all these social media things happen at one time. And, you look at higher level podcasts and they have a whole team that cuts it up and puts it everywhere. I'm like, well, probably should be doing that. But I think what you're saying is correct. Like whether it's losing the weight, building out the brand for a podcast or whatever it is, just go all in on the things that you actually are comfortable and enjoy doing. Because if you're wasting your time doing anything you don't want to do, or you don't feel like is the right fit for you right now, it's like you said, not sustainable. A week later, you're going to feel like depleted.
Burnout is real. Like not even burnout where it's like massive burnout, but just like losing energy towards things is real. Like having days where you're just not about it is real. And like it's crazy how many things I relate to working out just because that's my background. But like, it just is so clear to me that like, if somebody comes to me and is like, hey, I want to work out, and they're like, I'm coming in, JT, I'm coming to train with you. I'm coming 7 days a week. I just started going full keto. I cut all my carbs out. I'm drinking 1.5 gallons per day. I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'm like taking supplements. I'm going to be like, bro, like, you're not going to be able to do that every day for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to be something you can sustain. So like, let's tone it back. Let's do like, what's something that you feel like for the next 2 weeks you can actually do every single day. And if that's just literally a 15-minute workout or a walk, like, let's start with that. And then let's like start building on. It's that same thing, like simple things done savagely well, like the basics. So for content, for me, literally a great analogy. I just started a business TikTok like me, where I'm talking educational, because it's something that I really want to do long term. I want to teach. I actually want to teach like in college, a university on the internet, and building on the internet and like the culture of it. And so for me, I'm like, I want to start this TikTok page. It's going to be called JT Teaches. I'm just going to like give tips. I'm going to post 5 times a day, every day for the next 5 months. And I literally, and as soon as I started that, like day one, I'm like, yo, the actual like process for me of like coming up with this idea, writing it out, then filming it, then posting it is a lot more than like I even recognized. Like I'm gonna lower my expectations, and I'm actually gonna just be like, if I get 1 video out a day, like I feel good about that. If I get 2, if I get 3, I feel really good. But like my expectations are actually gonna be, I'm just gonna get 1 video out a day.
Wow.
And so I think, like, to summarize all that, like what you can do consistently with good energy and good attitude towards, and you feel like you can show up for, would be what I would say to do.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Just like what you're talking about, though, you're saying you want to be a professor one day, you want to help talk to people and give advice or whatever it might be. I know you previously had a podcast, Curious Podcast. So are we considering maybe to step back into the space at some point?
Yeah, dude, honestly, I loved doing my podcast. My podcast was literally, let's sit down and just talk about whatever comes to mind.
Love it.
And this is like where I retired. This is right after I retired. So I was like really interested in a handful of different things. Like the first idea I had was like, I'm very interested in topics the same way that Joe Rogan is, like just anything and everything.
Yep.
So I'll have anybody from any walk of life come and sit on my podcast, and just I'll talk to them. And I talk to like marathon runners. I talk to athletes. I talk to people that were into spirituality, yoga. Like I just talked to like a bunch of different categories. And I really enjoyed it. But at the same time, I was going through a period where I literally just retired. So I was like, I'm spending a lot of time talking to other people, and I'm kind of losing interest in talking to other people, because I actually want to learn more about myself right now. And so I'm sitting in these conversations, and like when this person is telling me their way of doing things and the way they do some things, I'm almost like taking pieces of it and being like, oh, that's what I need to do now, or oh, that's what I want to do now. And I was like, I just need to like pause and like take some time to be like, I want to figure out what I actually want to do myself. And so I was like, I'm going to put a pause on this. That, along with my co-host, who is a pro surfer, decided he wanted to go travel the world and surf. So he was like, I'm out.
Not a bad decision. So Conrad, I think his name was. Not a bad decision.
Those 2 things at the same time were like, all right, let's put this on pause. I really do feel like I'll do another podcast. I don't know exactly when. I know Sam is thinking about it too. We're doing more couple stuff. Maybe eventually we'll do one together. I don't know. There's a lot of things kind of up in the air, but I love conversations with people.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I'm considering.
We'll get you back in the podcast space. When you're ready to have that conversation, I will push you every step of the way, because I know you'll be dialed in on it. Dude, I love that. I can feel the love and energy between you and Sam through the internet. And that's how I know. I'm like, it makes me happy when I see people like you together, not only because I've been single for a long time, it gives me hope for myself, but 2, it just shows me like that there's great people in this world that have come together, that love each other, and then do amazing things. Like the fact that you guys co-founded Reset together. I see the energy of like you guys like pushing each other. Like, how has that relationship helped you become who you are? Because that was also at a time when you had left hockey, you moved to LA, you moved in with her. I don't know how long you guys were dating at the time, but I feel like it's just, I mean, every relationship has its highs and lows. I totally understand. But from a high level, from what I see outside looking in, it seems like you guys just have it really dialed in.
Yeah, so I started dating Sam when I was in Russia. I slid into her DMs.
Let's go.
When I was sitting in a little Russian military base eating borscht for breakfast. I saw I I saw a picture of her. We had mutual friends, like I knew people that she knew, and I saw a picture of her that I actually think it was her getting baptized, like getting baptized, and I just commented on it like, "This is dope." And then we started and then I sent her a DM, was like, "What's up?" And so I came back from Russia. I ended up meeting up with her like a month and a half after I came back from Russia, and we actually were just talking as friends. Like I was really not interested in anybody at all. I was telling this story literally 2 days ago. I said to myself about Sam when I first started talking to her, because we were kind of like, what are we going to be? Da, da, da. I verbatim said to my hockey team, "I'm married to the game." I literally said to my guys on my team, they were like, I'm like, "Yo, I've been talking to this girl, da da da." They're like, "Yo, nice. Like, you're gonna go meet up with her?" Like, "Yeah." Are you trying to hang out? Are you trying to hook up with her? Are you trying to date her? I was like, "Bro, I'm married to the game. Like, I have no interest in this." This is just after I got back from Russia. So I meet up with Sam, and like that first night, we ended up talking for like 3 hours, and we were actually just like talking as friends. And then the next day, I was like, "You want to hang out again?" And we went and hung out again. And like immediately after we hung out the second time, I was like, "Hey, look, we're not just gonna be friends." And or like, it doesn't feel like this is just like a friends thing. Like, I really like you too much. And no joke, after the second time that I hung out with her, I said to a couple of my friends, like, I actually feel like I'm going to be with this girl for a really long time.
Wow.
And like, it could not be, it's something that I just think has like been such a game changer for me. Like, I think relationships are everything for me. Relationships are like, they're everything for me. It's the way that I relate to people, the way that I'm able to connect with people is just like my not even my forte. It's like my passion, but it's also what I feel is like my skill set. And a, a, a serious relationship, romantic relationship, is like the deepest of all of them, because you're just so intertwined and there's just so much that goes on between the two of you. So like, it's the quickest way to understanding yourself and to understanding how you work as a person. And like, just being able to do like life with somebody that you do care about that much is like, it's everything that I do in business is awesome. Like, I fucking love it. There's literally nothing that I love more than being able to have a relationship with Sam.
It's amazing.
Legit.
That's amazing.
I'm really, really, really passionate about it, because I feel like it's really slept on, in the sense of it being beneficial as an entrepreneur and as a businessman. Like, I would not have the strength to do a lot of the things that I do if it wasn't for my relationship with her.
Wow.
And for the things that I've had to work through with her, the ways that we've had to communicate. And me and her, like, we legit never fight. Like, we just don't have it in us to like we're not like people that like really fight. We disagree on things and like talk through them. But we're not just like people that just like lose our temper and like fight. But like, in that conversation of like where she disagrees with something, or where she's feeling a certain way, or I'm feeling a certain way, and I have to verbally communicate that to her, because it's not something where, in business, or even just in like friendships, or in like people that you're not super romantically, or you're not super connected, you can just kind of be like, fuck it. They're like, I'm not gonna. I don't even deserve that. I'm not even gonna work through this. Like, you don't even deserve my time of day. But like, when you're like, like, I really care about this person. Like, I gotta talk through this. Like, I can't just leave. I can't just run from this. I can't just leave. It requires like a different level of you like showing up and being able to like be the best to try and be better. So it's like, yeah, it's my biggest passion, is like being in a relationship with her. And like, the same way I was saying I want to be a teacher, I genuinely feel like my biggest goal in life is to be a dad.
Wow.
And that is something that I'm like really, really, really passionate about. And so it's exciting. It's exciting to be with her.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. I mean, I think too, just from what I've seen of her, I mean, you guys both have this extreme passion for health and wellness and fitness. So I feel like that's a great core and probably immediately attracts you guys to one another, that you're both extremely passionate about helping yourself operate at the highest level. And then from there, the rest is history. But was there
Dude, she makes me so much better. It's like, it's ridiculous. The ways that I've had to fucking level up because of her is like, dude, it's wild because I'm like, I've always, I'm competitive. One, I want to be the best. Like, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
I want to be the best at what I do. And so like seeing her in the way that she operates as like a business person, but also just like as a person, like I watch her and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, you're doing like some of the things that you do, like you just do it so like gracefully or so like it doesn't even bother you. And like for me, it would be like such a hard thing. I'll give like a perfect example of like waking up super early for me was never something that I was really good at. It was never easy for me. And like for her, it just like, she's just like jumps up and is just like, I'm up, like, cool. And I'm like, what do you like, how do you do that? And she's like, I get excited for the day and I just like, it pumps me up and I get up. And like, when I see that, like the competitive side of me, I'm like, how the fuck do I do that? What do I do? Like, how do I, and it just like, it really just levels me up. Like there's so many different things. And I think she would say the same of like, we just get to learn from each other a lot of just like how each of us, we're both going through so much of like learning ourselves and like getting to see that. Like there's so many things that she goes through with herself that I then watch and I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice that that's something that I do too, that I need to work on. And then like, I'm able to work on that. So like, dude, relationships, like, and it doesn't have to just be for anybody that's single, it doesn't have to just be romantic relationship. Like if you're in a relationship with a business partner, if you're in a relationship with a best friend and you're willing to like want to work on yourself, like you'll notice shit of like, damn, like they really handled that nicely. And like, I don't think I would handle it that nicely. Like, how did they handle that so nice? And maybe it's something that I can work on.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing.
I mean, excuse me. It all full circles back to the very beginning of this conversation, the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. And it's like, whether it is that intimate relationship or it's just the homies that are doing amazing things that you see them level up. And it's not that you're jealous of them. It's not that you wish you were in their shoes. You just go, all right, so how do I level up within my own lane? Like that's the thing that I've always enjoyed about these podcasts. This isn't just an entrepreneur podcast. This isn't just a health and wellness podcast. This isn't just a podcaster's podcast. This is for anybody that is passionate about what they do or they're just living their most authentic lives, because I see that from afar in people like yourself and the people that I talk to. And it's like, I just want to learn. I just want to listen. I want to get inspired. Maybe your path and all the other things that you're working on or the other guests, their goals aren't similar to mine, but when I see them crush it at a high level, I go, wow, I can do that. I can do the same thing. Like use that as inspiration. So whether it is the intimate relationship or it is just like the friends and the homies, like, yeah, I mean, that's everything. That's how you keep fueled up.
Well, you were just saying that. I was just thinking of just how important community is. Cause like that before I had Sam, I've asked myself this before, like, how the fuck did I do this before I had Sam? And like my guys on my team were those relationships for me. That's where I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. I do think that a romantic relationship allows you to go deeper because when you're like physically and romantically involved with somebody, there's more things you need to work through and work on. But I like the brothers that I had in those locker rooms were my support system and were the community that I needed in those times. And now that I have Sam, now it's like, it's Sam. It's also my friends that are around me. It'll be my kids one day. Like that support system and that community is what allows you to level up. Like it really is the people that are closest to you. And to touch on that also, it doesn't have to just be in proximity. Like I was in Russia and my support system and my community was 100% online.
Yeah.
It was 100%
yeah.
YouTube people that I listened to. I was listening to Gary Vee. I was listening to Ed Milet. And that was my people that I surround myself with, of like who's in my ears, who's in my heart, like those are the people that I wanted to surround myself with when I physically, proximity wise, wasn't around people. And so like, I think just if anybody's listening and they're like, yo, I don't have anybody cool that's close to me. I don't have anybody, I'm not close with my family. I don't have people that are in my area. Like on like the internet has allowed you to meet new people, to build with people that aren't in your area. And that's such a beautiful thing. Cause like you can listen to people, you can connect with people, you can send DMs. Like that's how I would do it if I was in a place where I was like, I don't have anybody near me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is the beauty of the internet. You can connect with people, the podcast space. If somebody's listening right now, they get it. They don't understand the value that they maybe don't have the friends to have these conversations with, but hopefully through this podcast and other podcasts that they listen to, they can tap into these types of conversation and start to reshape their mind to think bigger, to think bigger, better, what they actually aspire to be like, who they want to be inspired, who they aspire to be like it's just reshaping your mind and the way you see the world. But yeah, I mean, the communities, that is literally the crucial. That's what fuels me to this
100%,
day.
100%.
And your gym, build on yesterday. What do those 3 words mean to you?
I think every day is a clean slate. And I think if you look at how you can build on the day before, you'll always be getting better. And so for us, build on yesterday is like, cool. Like yesterday, what might not have been a great day, let's build on it. Yesterday was an amazing day. Do we have better in the tank? Like, build, just continually trying to get a little bit better each day. Again, that consistency will take you far.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What's one lesson in hockey that you'll still carry with you to today?
One lesson in hockey that I'll always carry with me. First I'll give a cliche thing of hard work, like really putting in the work. Like there's no substitution for hard work in anything. Like I fucking wish there was. There isn't. It would be amazing if things just came easy.
Yeah, I know, right? But it makes you enjoy shit so much more.
So
that's
true.
Why it's like it's so much more enjoyable when you have those successes and you hit those wins, because you're just like, look at all the work. I appreciate it more now,
Yep. But I actually want to say like one thing that I'll take away from my hockey is that I was fucking on it since I was 15 years old, and to trust myself. Like if there was one thing that if I was sitting next to my 15-year-old self, and this is like something that I do a lot, legitimately practice this is a great practice for anybody too. Like have conversations with that younger version of you and like talk to them as if they were sitting in the room with you. And now with the like wisdom and the knowledge that you have, like tell them what they needed to hear when they were that age. And it's something that I practice all the time. And to that 15, 16, 17-year-old, I literally would just say like, you fucking know, like, what you're doing, what your skills are, yourself. Go internal. Don't listen to anybody else's opinions. Don't care what other people think. Trust yourself and just go. Because there was so many things that I did when I was 15 that I didn't go hard into because I cared about what my coach or my dad or my friends or other people in the locker room said about me. And I knew it was going to work. And I'll give you an example of like specifically vlogging. I was literally doing David Dobrik style vlogs when I was 14, 15.
Wow.
And I put it away.
Wow.
And I put it away because I didn't care, because I thought that I was a hockey player and wasn't supposed to do it. Another thing I was doing, bro, I was making dance music, EDM, literally before Skrillex even popped off, just because I was into it, just because I was like, I love this. I didn't even think EDM was going to be big. I was just like, I love this stuff. This is cool. Like, I'm going to spend time on Ableton. I'm going to make beats, but I stopped it. I didn't pursue it because I listened to other people tell me that like I'm a hockey player and I need to dedicate more time to hockey. Social media, I was posting on Instagram once every 3 weeks. I could have if I would have cared about it more and gone harder into it, it would have been a completely different game changer for me. But I didn't, because I listened to other people and I didn't go harder into what I truly believed. And I don't regret any of that. I don't regret any of it, because other shit would have happened. I might not have met Sam. I might be in a different place, right? I might be living in that Russian military base still. So I don't regret any of it at all. I'm super, super grateful for all of that and for everything that's landed me to this position right now. But if there's one thing that I continually tell myself, it's don't listen to other people. Plug your fucking ears and trust your heart and trust your gut because you fucking know.
Go internal, man. When you could just listen to that inner voice and listen to the one that genuinely knows what he or she wants to do and not the other, there's the devil and then there's the angel. Listen to the angel, which is telling you this is what you want to do, go do it, versus the devil that's like, but you're going to fail or it's not going to work out. And you make up every excuse. No. Cut that shit out. That's the external voice that you don't need to hear.
And I actually think that the devil is actually the devil on your shoulder is actually other people
yes.
that were dealing with their own shit
Yep.
and were insecure and didn't know how to handle what you were going through or what you were dealing. And so they treated you away because it was the only way that they knew how.
Totally.
And it's actually not even you hating on yourself. It's actually not even you that's hard on yourself. It's actually not even you that doesn't think you're going to win. It's that coach, it's that friend, it's that family member, it's that teammate. Like it's other people. It's not even you. And so like when I sit and I'm having conversations with myself and I'm like, where did I learn this? I'm like, this isn't even me.
Yeah.
Like this isn't even my shit.
Yeah.
This is somebody else that was hurt that like, I'm not even going to, I don't even need to give them that energy, that power anymore. Like I'm taking this back. And guess what? I do know myself. I do know me.
Yeah.
So
the people that question you the most, I would challenge anybody is look at them and go, do they have their shit figured out? Because the people that are so consumed on what you're doing, most likely don't even know what they're doing. Because if they did know what they were doing, they wouldn't have any time to actually put into giving their 2 cents to you. So I would challenge people to look at those same people.
Bro, how many people do you and I know that are positive, that are happy, and like none of them are going around hating on people. None of them are going around tearing people down. None of them are going around spewing hate and like cutting people down and discouraging. Like when you're happy with yourself, when you feel good about what you're doing, you want other people to feel that because you're like, this is fucking great. Like I feel amazing and I want you to feel amazing too. So like, how can you do that? I think 100%, like the people that are out there that are hating, that are trolling, that are cutting people down are just people that just haven't got that kindness themselves.
Yeah.
And so like I feel for them and I'm like, look, I'm sorry that you're going through this and like I want to be here for you, but like this isn't for me.
Yeah. I have nothing but empathy for those people and I always take whatever they have to say with a grain of salt and I just put it in one ear and out the other. And if it's not positive and it's not uplifting, then I'm like, hey, it's not meant for me.
100%.
We'll get into a couple quick cues and then we'll kind of wrap up.
Cool.
What daily routines help you operate at your highest level?
Morning walk, meditation, moving my body. Ice bath is amazing. I don't do it every single day, but ice bath is amazing. Writing. And it used to be journaling, but now I do everything in my notes app on my phone. So writing, I write affirmations. I write like things about myself. Like I fucking got this. I am like, just like things that I really want, like that same thing of like where I'm talking to that younger version of me. Like I write things like that. I write how I want my day to go. I write my goals for the day. I write something that in the future I'm going to overcome. So like writing has been really good. And then like I gotta say music, bro. Like I play I'm bumping music in here. It's like you come in here, it's like J-Quan 2007. Like it's going, it's like, you
got Chingy one call away bumping
club
out there.
It's like a legit club in my office when you come in. So music is a big motive, bro. Like that, whatever makes you feel like that fuck yeah energy, like fuck yeah, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Do more of that. And for me, that's music. That's like sometimes dancing, sometimes jumping up and down, sometimes like getting a coffee. I mean, like whatever makes me feel like, let's do this. Like I'm ready to go. I do more of that.
I love it, man. Those are some great routines. I gotta get on the ice bath wave. We've been talking about getting one at our crib because I've seen nothing but good things from people, and I think that's something I need to
It's great.
get the roommates to want to invest on. If you had to tell yourself one motto every morning, what would it be?
One motto every morning.
Yep. So set intention for the day ahead. What would that motto be?
I create the life that I want by doing the small things each day.
That's good.
I think that that's something that I tell myself a lot, like doing the small things to the best of my ability each day. I think that anybody can create the life that I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe that you can, yeah, there is certain obstacles that are that are impossible to overcome, but I genuinely believe that you have the ability to live an optimal life by putting in the work and by really approaching it as if you do have that ability. And so I would say that for me, it's showing up every day to the best of my ability. And it doesn't have to be doing anything absolutely crazy. It's taking care of the small things and just doing them the best that I can that day, and moving further closer to the life that I want to be living.
Yeah. All for that, my friend. Put your best foot forward every single day. What's an area of your life you need to put more effort into?
Letting go of shit that I don't feel is making my life better anymore. Relationships, things that I cared about before that I just don't have time for anymore. I care so much about people and my relationships and the way that and making people not feel bad or not feel sad or feel down or that I hold on to things for longer than I need to. And it's hard for me to let go of things because I don't want other people to feel bad or to feel sad or to feel out or feel down. And like there's just things that I feel like, and everybody going through life, you end up letting go of, friendships in high school, like relationships, like there's just things that you're like, hey, like I'm going a different route now and it's like time for me to let go. Some people do it easy as fuck. For me, I feel really deeply for people. And so I don't want people it's hard for me to allow people to go through shit.
Yeah.
It's probably my worst trait. Legitimately. I have a hard time wanting anybody else to hurt. So I would rather be like, I got this, I'll endure this because I don't want them to feel anything. And what I do by that is I don't actually allow them to work through anything of their own and deal with anything and overcome anything on their own, because I'm trying to take that as like a shield and be like, hey, I got this, I'll take it on, and you guys don't need to feel anything. Whereas I actually probably am not even helping them. And so something that I've been really working on is letting go of things that I know I don't need anymore or that I don't feel like are making my life better, and allowing those people or that situation, it's not always just people, to go through what they need to go through. And so that would be my answer.
It's good, man. It's always relationships and stuff like that. It's always a work in progress, and I hear you loud and clear, and I feel that. But yeah, I very much so, and do my best to learn how to let go of certain things and not be my biggest critic of like, you could do more, you should be doing more, and try to just let the flow of life full circle it.
You know what? It's becoming, Bobby, it's becoming more clear to me every day that relationships are a two-way street.
Phone works both ways.
And when I say relationships, I don't just mean like, I'm not referring to anything with Sam. I'm actually referring to business. I'm actually referring to familial. I'm actually referring to hockey. I'm actually referring to high school. Like, relationships are in everything. Business is 100% relationships. You're always dealing with people. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a product that you're dealing with a person on the other end of that.
Yes.
And so what I'm recognizing more and more is relationships are a two-way street. Like, you can only put in so much
Mm-hmm.
to where you're not getting the same amount back, to where it's not beneficial for you. And that's where you have to let go of it. And for me, that's hard as fuck. It's hard as fuck. And so that's what I'm learning right now, of like evaluating the relationships in my life and being like, I'm giving 98 in this and I'm not even getting back 20.
Yeah.
And like, that's a waste of my time. Yeah. And, there's nothing else I can do. And so that's where I'm like, that letting go is something that is other people are great. Sam is like so great at it. This is another thing I'm saying, like learning from her.
She's getting
like, let it go.
Fuck.
Like,
she lets go of the relationship.
I'm like, I can't let this go. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. What's the first step anyone can take to reaching their inner potential?
Self-awareness. Like, sit and just like look throughout your day of like how you're spending your time, and then ask yourself, like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, what would I really want my life to be like? Like, what would my days want to look like? My relationships, like my health. And then just asking yourself, like having that conversation with yourself of like, am I doing things right now that are going towards that? And if not, like, how can I start doing more of that? Self-awareness is really, really massive. It's hard to do anything else without it. And you can actually develop self-awareness just by sitting and asking yourself questions.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the first step you got to take to, nobody's going to better understand you than yourself, and having those honest conversations and that stillness over, it's not just one time. It's not like, all right, I'm going to sit still, think for 20 minutes. I'm going to have it all figured out. It's that consistent, like every day, like finding stillness in the day to just reflect on feelings, figure out what do you like, what do you not like. And then eventually you start to realize like, wow, I actually enjoy doing this. And this is fun. Like, I'm in a flow. I don't even realize I've been recording for an hour and 15 minutes. Like, I should probably keep doing this type of stuff because I enjoy it. So I think the self-awareness is extremely important. As we wrap up, I always allow the guests to put a challenge out there to the listeners. If they've made it this far into the podcast, what is one challenge that you have for the listener today?
Just because we literally just touched on it, I would say one challenge would be, and I'm in this challenge with you guys. Fuck.
He's the leader of it.
Yeah. It would be to evaluate the relationships in your life and ask yourself what percentage you feel you're giving to that relationship and what percentage you feel they are giving. And then ask yourself if you feel like those percentages are worth your energy, if they're adding to it or if they're actually taking away from it. That would be the exercise that I would have people do.
That's good. Take the time. It's not easy to do, but it's going to set you up for a better headspace moving forward. So you're don't be so self-critical and thinking that it's you. If you're showing up on a relationship and you're putting in half the effort, which it's a 50, like you said, it's a two-way street. I love the saying, the phone works both ways. You got to go meet people 50%. Sometimes I think it's important to go that 80%. You have to go a little bit farther to, get something out of the relationship, or if it's something new, but at some point you have to go, I got to let this sit, and I'm not going to keep overstepping it if it's not meant to be. Yep. I'm part of that challenge too, but JT will be the leader of it. JT, man, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast today, bro. Like, the one thing I love about the internet, I know it gets a lot of flack for comparison trap and people spend endless amounts of time scrolling. I get it. The one thing that I love about the internet is it allows me to get to know people on a personal level without ever having a conversation, ever meeting them in person. I can feel the energy, and maybe that's me leaning into my strengths, which I'm a people's person at my core, but being able to see people like you on the internet, I get excited when I see your bubble pop up on my IG, whether it's a feed, whether it's a story post, because I know it's going to be something that's valuable, that's worth my time, whether it's you walking around the block, getting in the sweat, cooking up content. I mean, just at a high level, man, big fan of you. I think your story is very unique. The in of itself, the challenge of going from the hockey player into this whole new space, I think is so important for people to hear. I know we have a lot of mutual friends, so I knew there was a immediate I was like, this guy's the real deal. He's got everybody around him. I was like, I got to talk to this guy. So Once again, man, thank you for taking the time. Big fan of you, and really excited for this podcast and to see what people think of the episode.
Bro, I really appreciate all that you just said. And I mean, you're the legend of you and your podcast definitely lives up to the hype. This is by far one of the best podcasts that I've done.
Honored.
So I really enjoyed it. And I could not agree more with the enjoyment of meeting people on the internet like yourself. It's like one of my great passions, and it's something that like I feel so grateful for with social media, because I know it gets such a bad rep, but like I love social media so much because without it, me and you would never meet.
No.
We would never have known each other.
No.
I mean, maybe because we're living like pretty close to each other, we might have ran in.
And we're still doing this.
Like,
we're still doing this through Zoom for people to listen. That's the best part. Yeah. Love the efficiency.
It really is amazing, and I think if there's anybody that is out there that is interested in dabbling in social media and meeting new people, like put yourself out there and do it, because majority of the people that I meet now are through social media, and there's just so many amazing people out there. So it's been a real blessing for me. And yeah, bro, I really appreciate you having me on.
Let's go. Absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this podcast, me and JT got a favor. More specifically, I got a favor to ask. Screenshot this episode on whatever platform you're listening to. Post it to your IG story. Tag JT. He is at JT Barnett. That's JTBARNETT. Tag him and tag me at Babe. That's BO, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Post on your IG story, tag us, let us repost it. It makes us look poppin'. Really important part of this whole podcast. But very curious to see what you guys and gals thought of the episode. In the descriptions below, I will have Honey House, Triple Deke, and Reset plugged up below. His website, all of his socials, his YouTube. So if you want to look more into JT, you'll be able to find it there. JT Barnett, baby. Thanks for taking the time today, brother.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
It's the Bearded Man Podcast. See you.